Hello and welcome to Nick's Allotment Diary. It's the middle of January and I thought you might like a plot tour. Firstly, I'll show you the garlic. Planted this end of November, beginning of December, and as you can see, some of it's starting to show through. The variety that I've got here is Casablanca. This was from saved garlic cloves from last year, and I replanted them, and they're coming through first. Next to them, these ones here, just starting to emerge along this row, are a variety called Thermodrome. So again, you can just see a few of those starting to poke through. It's quite bright today, so it might be difficult for you to see. And in the final row, I've got some elephant garlic, and that's only just starting to poke through now. There's a couple of them that I can see. They always seem to be later coming through than the normal garlic. It has been relatively warm recently, so I would expect it to start showing through now. But if we have a cold snap, it'll do fine anyway. Garlic and the alliums seem to survive through the winter no problem. Now this bed is one of my no-dig beds. We did it a few weeks ago. There's a couple of parsnips left, some carrots. They're a variety called Eskimo, so they should be okay through the winter. And also here we have some cabbages. These are Savoy cabbages, just starting to heart up. Quite pleased with them. And these are purple sprouting broccoli at the back. Purple sprouting broccoli doesn't start producing the sprouts until probably about February, March time. These haven't grown particularly big, the plants, so far. I'm hoping that they'll sort of catch up over the next couple of months. There is a slightly bigger plant over there, you can see through the net. And also in this bed we have some beetroot. Now over to the brassica bed. In this we have some curly kale, some green kale here, and there's also a purple variety. See that there? And also in this bed we've got a few leeks. A few of them have gone to seed, but there should be some usable leek amongst that. And also we have a few Brussels sprouts, still some left after Christmas, so I should be harvesting those soon. Next we have the flower bed. One thing I noticed the other day is because of the warmer weather, the roses are already starting to produce buds that are swelling. So I need to get on and prune these roses now. I usually hard prune them in February, but I think I'm going to do them certainly before the end of January. I'll hard prune them. What I did last year was prune them back, and I've always had success when I prune them hard back, get lots of roses on it. So I shall definitely be doing that again this winter. We've got lavender here, and we have another rose. I did spot some daffodils starting to come through. So So they're on their way now, and what surprised me this morning is the calendula starting to flower again. And that's survived the winter so far. And here's another flower. So it has been relatively mild this winter so far where I live, and that's allowed things to move on a little bit more than they would normally. Over to the herb bed. I gave this a weeding the other day to remove some of the perennial weeds that were growing through. There's all sorts here. We've got curry plant, rosemary, some thyme, and just coming through here we've got oregano, however you prefer to pronounce it. Now we move over to strawberries. Here's the strawberry bed. I need to remove some of these. A lot of the runners have rooted. There's all sorts in this bed. I do plan to relocate the strawberries, possibly over into this area here where I had the sunflowers last year. But I have got to decide what I'm going to do with growing sunflowers. I definitely need some space for those. The other thing that I'm also planning to do is to build a carrot bed, and that is going to be in this area in front of the fruit cage here. I'm going to build a raised carrot bed. I've taken various advice on how to do it, so that should come up in a later video. Now we're in the fruit cage. The black currants and red currants are dormant now, so ideal time to start pruning them. There's also gooseberry bushes and various other things. There's a blackberry, thornless blackberry at the back there. Now that's grown a bit wild. It's already escaping the fruit cage, so I need to do something with regard to that. We also have the standard red currant growing in this pot, and in these pots here we've got blueberries, and there's also strawberries in pots too. One of the other big jobs I've got to do in the next few weeks is to try and get as much bindweed root out from the fruit cage. That will involve me having to dig up the fruit bushes. What I'll try and do is remove as much soil with them as possible, sort out any bindweed roots amongst the roots of the fruit bushes, and then replant them back. I'm also going to try and make sure they're not as densely planted as they are at the moment, because it has made it difficult to get in to harvest them. So I'll take this opportunity while I sort through the fruit cage to thin things out a bit to make it easier to harvest. We're now in the greenhouse. There isn't much growing in the greenhouse. This bed that I had the tomatoes in last year is empty. My plan is to give the greenhouse a clean. As you can probably see, the glass is very green and there's quite a bit of moss. So in the next month I will give the greenhouse a very thorough clean, and I plan to try and grow some peppers in this trough this year. Maybe 1 or 2 tomato plants, but the majority peppers, because I was having problems in growing them on the bench. I don't think the pots were big enough to allow the peppers to grow sufficiently, so I thought if I can get them growing in this area, they've got the opportunity to grow taller. I do have some things growing in the greenhouse. We've got some spinach, some salad leaves and some corn salad. Now these were all planted in September and they've been growing through the winter. So I should be able to just harvest some of those salad leaves now. So here's the potting bench. Prepared that now, ready for the new season ahead. Start planting seeds in earnest in February and March. I have planted some onion seeds that you'll probably already have seen in an earlier video. I've also brought along my seed box where I'll be sorting through the seeds so I can decide what I need to plant for the season ahead. Moving back outside, we have the plum tree in this bed. So also we have the thornless blackberry that's been growing along this side. It's all curled round here, as you can see, and it definitely needs some sort of framework. I'm going to have to build the long promised framework along this side of the bed so that I can train the blackberry along it. Here's the other bed. This is one of my no-dig beds that I had the squashes in last year. There's nothing in that one as yet. And then back over to the no-dig bed I prepared a few weeks ago. That's now bedded down. Cardboard's all covered with compost, and that should be fine for planting into in the spring. Now we come to the bed along the front of the allotment. This is the one that contains the raspberries and the rhubarb. Now it is quite early, but the rhubarb is starting to make an appearance. I usually force some rhubarb, which I've done a number of times over the last few years. I think I'll probably do that again this year. It always produces some nice sweet rhubarb. I tend to alternate the forcing between this crown and another crown, just so that it doesn't over exhaust the rhubarb plant. But it is nice to see things starting to emerge. The other job that needs sorting in the raspberry bed is to prune back all the autumn fruiting raspberries. That's a job that you can be doing at this time of the year. Basically what you do is prune out the growth that's grown last year, and you'll get new growth appearing in the spring. I hope you enjoyed that tour of my allotment in January. Thanks very much for joining me at Nick's Allotment. I'll see you again next time.